Dribble on in because we have all the latest on the undefeated Texas basketball team. Stay tuned, it's College Pressbox. Good evening and welcome back to our basketball special on College Pressbox. I'm your host, Tier Newbaum, and joining me tonight is Josh Guerrera, Josh Blunt, and Harry Hoffman. Guys, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tiara.
I'm doing fantastic.
So, Texas is 4-0 for the first time in 4 years. Tonight, Texas will face BYU in the championship round of the CBE Hall of Fame Classic. But guys, last Monday, Texas beat Houston Baptist 89-61. Jonathan Holmes with 15 points, Javon Felix scored 14, and Connor Lammert also in the double digits with 13. What do you guys think is working for the team for the beginning of the season?
Well, I think it's kind of like the youth, because Texas is a very young team. They got Isaiah Taylor as a freshman, DeMarcus Holland as a sophomore. I think these guys know how to work together and play together and contribute as a team.
Yeah, I think it starts with leadership, especially Jonathan Holmes, the junior, one of the sole remaining members of the team last year, him stepping up, having a great season so far with 15 points and 6 rebounds a game. And then also Javon Felix and DeMarcus Holland stepping up, each Javon with 13.8 points a game and DeMarcus with 11 points a game. And then you look at the freshman, Isaiah Taylor, phenom, 10 points a game right off the bat, only 4 games into the season. And then, of course, solid play from Cameron Ridley and Connor Lammert. Longhorns have gotten off to a great start.
Yeah, definitely. I know Rick Barnes said that Jonathan Holmes has been a huge leader on this team. Harry, what do you have to say?
Yeah, you guys mentioned it. Jonathan Holmes, clearly the leader on this basketball team. But, 5 players averaging double figures for the season. So a really balanced attack from this Texas Longhorns basketball team. A close game in the first game of the season against Mercer, only a 3-point win. But Mercer beat some big teams last year, and they were a really experienced team playing against this young Texas team with a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So I think balanced scoring is the key, and defensive players like Cameron Ridley and Prince Ebay, really starting to show their dominance inside the paint.
So we talked a little bit about Isaiah Taylor and DeMarcus Holland, but they have been key starters on this team this season. I mean, we're still in the start, but they have played the most minutes per game. What do you guys think we'll see from them being so young? I mean, I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Starting with DeMarcus Holland, he seems to be the most complete guard of this Texas team, averaging 11 points a game, 6 rebounds, and about 3 assists a game. I look for him to become that go-to player from Texas. He's already hitting about 50% from the field. I'll just look continued development from him as he becomes more of that well-rounded go-to last-second guy for the Longhorns. And then starting with the Isaiah Taylor, it's impressive how he started the season, especially as a freshman coming in, getting some good minutes, averaging 10 points a game and 3 rebounds and 3 assists. What'll be interesting to look from him is how he breaks through the freshman wall, how he comes up and faces adversity through his freshman season. But he is definitely looking like a person to watch for here in the Big 12.
Yeah, and so far, Isaiah Taylor, coming in as a freshman, really looking good in the first game of the season. He can really get to the basket. Him and DeMarcus can really, drive the lane, something that Texas lacked last year with the absence of Mike Kabongo. After he came in, he started to get to the basket a little more, open up some shooters. Now that you have 2 guys who are incredibly fast, can get out in transition, Isaiah Taylor and DeMarcus Holland, I think can really do big things for this team, get out in transition, score a lot of points, put points on the board quickly, and maybe give Texas, a lot of big leads throughout the season.
Yeah, I think we're going to have big stats from them all season, but despite Texas having a very young team, I think that they have a lot of team chemistry this season. I mean, what do you think about this? And being so young, I mean, how do you think that they've made this a point to work together? Because I think we've seen in the past maybe them not meshing as much and seeing problems on the court.
Right. I think it begins a lot with Jonathan Holmes, the junior, seeing a lot of the dysfunction on last year's team with coaches sparring with players, and then, of course, the fiasco at Micah Bongo. I think he learned a lot from last season and is trying his best not to recreate that this season. So I think you see a lot of his influence on the team, as well as I think guys are maturing. It's a maturity of the team. You see guys like Connor Lambert stepping up from last year, averaging 10 points now after only averaging about 6 points a game. So I think it starts a lot with the maturity of the team and how they want to see this season going for them as a whole.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yes, as Josh stated, it is the team leadership. Jonathan Holmes, Javon Felix, they're both stepping up to teach the younger guys how to play, and they're building much chemistry within the team as the games go on.
Yeah, with a lot of young guys on the team, traveling together, being in college, starting off your college career, you form this bond, and I think that's huge for this Texas basketball team, where you're going to be traveling on the road a lot during the season. You practice every day with each other, you eat with each other. So I think it's huge that they form this chemistry, and so they can really compete in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen a lot of changes since last season already. And after a lot of rotations freshman year, we have Cam Ridley and Prince, who came in rotating a lot. But I think they came in this season with a lot of high expectations to see who would play. So what do we think that we're going to see from these centers this season?
I think we're going to see more big plays by these guys. They're going to be more aggressive down low, and they're going to be really big for them. Cameron Ridley, he has 5.8 points per game, and he's averaging 2.5 blocks per game, while eBay is 4.0 rebounds per game and 1.8 blocks per game. So they're definitely going to be attacking down low. They're going to be getting a lot of defensive stops.
Definitely from these two, you're already getting your scoring from Holland, Taylor, and from Jonathan Holmes. What I'd like to see from these two is being aggressive down the post, like Josh said, getting those blocks, getting those rebounds, being that defensive enforcer down there in the paint. So where as long as your guards have the wings taken care of, as soon as they go into the paint, the opponents know there's going to be some trouble down there.
Right, definitely.
Exactly. Defensive pressure is huge, and Cameron Ridley is a natural shot blocker. So anybody driving the lane is going to have trouble if those two are on the court at the same time. They're also going to have to match up with guys like Isaiah Austin down in Baylor, the 7'1" center. So I think it's big that they assert their dominance. Josh mentioned it. Scoring isn't huge. They have a ton of guards and three-point shooters that can carry the load. So if they can assert their dominance, blocking shots, getting rebounds, I think that's all this Texas team needs.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people looking forward to this season. But don't go anywhere, because we have a lot more basketball to shoot at when we come back. Well, thanks for sticking with us on College Pressbox. Since we are talking basketball, I think we need to mention that Derrick Rose will be out for the remainder of the season after he underwent knee surgery this morning. But on to another NBA star. Kevin Durant asked to go to the Oklahoma State game against Memphis. KD got to see Marcus Smart's 39-point performance during OSU's 101-82 victory over Memphis. What do you guys think Smart will do for the Cowboys this season?
Well, he's obviously a Naismith Award contender. He's one of the best players in college basketball. He's averaging 20 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. And he's one of those rare special combination players. He's physical, he's fast, he can shoot from the perimeter. He's a complete guard, and he honestly should have went to the NBA last year, but he decided to come back and stay. So I look for very big things from Marcus Smart, leading the Oklahoma State Cowboys deep into the NCAA tourney.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. Obviously, a crazy physical specimen. The way he's built, I'm just not sold yet on him or Oklahoma State. I know he's putting up big numbers, but his shooting percentage is not there yet. And against tough Big 12 defenses and late in tournaments, we'll see if he can be that guy. I just don't know if Oklahoma State has the talent around him. People talk about LeBron Nash. I'm just not sold on that junior yet. So if Marcus Smart doesn't bring it, I don't know if they have other pieces to carry the load. So that's why I don't think they're a top 5 team. But I think Marcus Smart has the potential and is definitely a top 5 player. And I think he's going to have a great college career and definitely enter the draft after the season.
Do you have anything to say about the Cowboys, Josh?
Last season, Marcus Smart, he averaged 15.4 points per game, and he definitely improved this season at going from 15 to 20. So he's adjusting more as a player each year. So I think it was a great thing for him to stay in college for a second year.
Definitely, definitely. So many times we see freshmen in college basketball leave their team, though, so after their first year. And so let's talk about Kentucky's Julius Randle, Duke's Parker, and Kansas's Andrew Wiggins. Which players do you think are going to best asset their team, and do you think that any of these players will be able to lead their team to a title?
Guys, I think Jabari Parker is by far the best player in the nation today. He's only a freshman, a young kid, but he can do it all. 6'8", can run the floor, can shoot the three, can get to the basket, can throw it down. This guy is a highlight reel every single game. He's been on SportsCenter's top 10 numerous times already. So I think he has the potential to lead Duke to an Elite Eight, a Final Four, and probably a national championship. This guy has it all. This is a rare talent. I think he goes #1 in the draft. I mean, not only is he great, but Duke has the players around him to carry them to that national title. Rodney Hood, transfer from Mississippi State. He can do it all. Quinn Cook leading the point position for Duke. So I think Jabari Parker is the best player in the nation on the best team in the nation.
All right, Harry. So Josh is.
Well, I'm going to have to somewhat agree with Harry on Jabari Parker. He's nearly averaging a double-double. He had 2 games where he had double-doubles, and the last 3 games where he didn't, he just needed 1 more rebound to get that double-double, which 9 rebounds in each of those 3 games.
Well, Harry, if I believe this is the question about who's the best asset to their team, not who's the best player in college basketball. So for me, the best asset to their team is Julius Randle at Kentucky. Without Julius Randle, Kentucky is just another team in the nation. Julius Randle has gotten a double-double in each of his games this season. Kentucky is a very inside-out team. If Julius Randle is not going, Kentucky will not go as well. So Julius Randle, to me, is the biggest asset for their team, for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Okay, so none of these teams are on Michigan State, but Michigan State is 6-0. They're ranked #1 in the AP poll. I mean, if you look at them, you don't see a star freshman, but their coach has done a lot of great things with Michigan State in the past. What do you guys see for them? I mean, do you see them clinching this top spot for a long period of time, or what's going to happen?
I think I'm not sure what they'll reach, but I have them going into the Final Four, possibly, if Julius Randle stays healthy and stays away from injuries this whole season. I could see them possibly winning the championship as well.
Yeah, I think this is a classic Tom Izzo team. Keith Appling, Gary Harris, Adrian Payne. These guys are experienced, they're physical, they play hard on the defensive end, and now they're really showing that they can score the basketball, something they haven't been able to do in past years, beating Kentucky 78-74 in the Champions Classic 2 weeks back. So I think Michigan State, who hasn't been able to get over the hump in the past couple of years, I think they get to the Final Four and they have a really good chance to win the national title.
This Michigan State team is definitely one of the best teams that they've had in the past couple seasons. And I think, like Harry said, one of the best things about this team is they can actually score. They can run the floor. They can push the ball. And they can put points up on the board, which a lot of times Izzo teams haven't been able to do. That being said, they are not the most talented team in the country. They're very well coached and they play together as a team. So I think the big key for them would be we'll see how they match up against those better talented teams who later in the season they start to gel, they start to play more like a team, how they match up with them in the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. So if we rewind to last year, what do you guys think about Louisville having a repeat?
Louisville repeating, it was a great story last year. They do get hot in the tournament, so I will not put anything past Rick Pitino and the Cardinals, but on paper, looking at it right now, to me, they're not going to repeat. You have teams out there such as Kentucky, such as Kansas, such as Michigan State, those teams, and Oklahoma State. Those teams have the star players, and right now the rosters are more suited, in my mind, to win a national championship other than Louisville repeating.
Yeah, I think the loss of Gorgie Deng was huge. They have one guy over 6'8", so I think that Russ Smith, Luke Hancock, I don't know if those guys will be able to carry the load. They obviously get out in transition. They run the full court press. They put a lot of pressure on the ball. But with the loss of Peyton Siva and Gorgie, I don't know if this team has the leadership or the talent that some of these other teams have. So I think Louisville can make a deep run. I just don't see them repeating.
Okay, so BYU is playing Texas right now. We saw what happened during football season. What do you guys think is going to happen tonight?
I'm going to have to go with Texas on the win on this. I think they're going to beat BYU.
I'm going to have to go with Texas.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Horns basketball team avenges that loss, and I think they get it done tonight.
I think Texas wins 68-61 from a big game from DeMarcus Holland and Isaiah Taylor, definitely picking up the slack, and Cameron Ridley and Prince will have a big game inside. I'm taking Texas.
Okay, and I can't go without asking, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? We're too close.
For me, I like the cranberry sauce and the rose.
For me, it starts with my mother, my beautiful mother, Sandra Blunt. She makes the best mac and cheese this side of the Mississippi. Fantastic. Can't be beat.
I want some of that.
Absolutely.
Bring some back.
I'm going to go with the classic turkey, but do not forget about that pigskin. We got tons of football on Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, guys, that is going to do it for us for this basketball special on College Pressbox. Make sure that you stay tuned next Monday for our last show of the semester. Also follow us on Twitter at College Pressbox. For everyone in the studio, Master Control, the analyst, and myself, have a happy Thanksgiving.
And if they tryna doubt the South, that's fine. We riding dirty at the same time, shine. For all the dope boys pushing on the grind. For all the dope girls keeping them in line.